Another incident that you can only dig up from our history books, and no one even wants to dig through our own history to try to learn from our own experiences. There is a religious group of people in what is today India. In Islamic books of history, it's called a Simniya. Now, your humble brother here did not have the time to see whether that has some type of other name in the English or in the Latin literature or in the Orientalist literature. So this, whatever sect, whatever religious persuasion it was in India at the time, and this was during the 3rd Islamic century. We go from the 1st Islamic century to the 3rd, during the Abbasi time, when the king of the Muslims was Harun al-Rashid. I know some people get offended because we're conditioned to use certain words. Let's be brave and say the truth. So there was one of these scholars or intellectuals in this religious persuasion in India who told his ruler that these Muslims can only rule by the sword and by brute force. They have no intellectual content to them. They don't think. He said, he advised his ruler, if you want to ascertain the truth of what I am telling you, correspond with their king, Harun al-Rashid in Baghdad, and have them, the Muslims, and we have a sit together and discuss or debate the issues or the differences. So this ruler liked the idea, and he sent to the ruler of the Muslims at that time requesting an encounter between the intellectuals of both societies. And the ruler in Baghdad sent to this land in what is called Bilad Sind, he sent the high judge of Baghdad, Qadi Qudat Baghdad, to debate, to discuss the issues. So here comes the Simni scholar and sits down with what is supposed to be the intellectual of the Muslims of that time. So and there's two sides. There are some individuals or thinkers on this side and others on that side. So the Simni asks a question. Is the deity that you conform to or worship, is he able to create another deity like him? And this scholar says, this Qadi Qudat Baghdad says, your question borders on what we call ilm al-kalam. During that time, there was a phrase called, a couple of words, ilm al-kalam, which in today's language means philosophy. So his response, the Muslim judge's response to this Indian, whatever his religion was, your question is a philosophical question. And this type of philosophy we consider to be a bid'ah. What is referred to as a negative, what is called as a negative innovation. He said, and who of your scholars has defined this type of conversation or question? Who has defined this as a negative innovation? He said Abu Hanifa and two of his students. It ended there. The Muslim scholar could not answer a simple question like that. And this reverberates. The Muslim scholars return to Baghdad, and the king hears about this. And he says, don't we have any people who can address these types of intellectuals? Where have the Muslim intellectuals gone, in other words? And he is told by his advisors and consultants and these types who are around him, but we do have those types of people, but they are in prison. That reminds us of today's world. Intellectuals in prison. People who want to think are guilty of thought crimes. Throw them in prison. At that time they were men in the hundreds. Now we have them in the hundreds of thousands who are behind bars because they want to think about what Allah and His Prophet are saying to us. So he says, okay, bring me one of them. So they release some of these Mutazilla, they're called in Islamic history Mutazilla, the rational school of thought in Islam. And they present the same question to them. It says, what if someone asks you, can your deity, you say Allah is almighty, Allah can do everything, inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, al-qahiru fawqa ibadah, al-qadir, al-muqtadir, etc. Can He create another God or another divinity like Him? And one of these bright individuals said, the question in itself carries a contradiction. Because Allah is infinite. He is before time and He is after time. He is not time and place limited. And when you speak about creating, you are speaking about bringing something into existence within the dimensions of time and place. And Allah, a deity, does not exist in the dimensions of time and place. So it cannot happen. A person who was locked up in prison had an answer for other people who are outside the Islamic realm who have questions.